The points I want to make are the following. What is being studied about our ancient past is scattered. So the people are studying one location or another location. We need to put all this together into the old history of India. We have to reclaim the Indian grand narrative using these discoveries. And there's too much dependence on Western scholars who take one thing and publish it in their own journal. They look at it through their own drishti, not necessarily our Vedic drishti. And the tendency has been to downplay the Hindu links. Even though they'll say that this deity is Indra, they will not say Hinduism. In some other place they'll say this is Shiva, but they will not link it. The impression given is that these were polytheistic people, chaotic, lot of different gods, primitive and fragmented. And that's the kind of impression given in guidebooks. Even in the UNESCO heritage sites, database, online, they don't classify these as Hindu. And that's part of your job as an ambassador, to talk to, whether it's a BBC reporter, whether it's somebody in the Indian press, or whether it's UNESCO, whoever it is, or to tour guide. You have to go and convince them and lobby with them that the Hindu origins and the whole thing being a Hindu civilization has to be acknowledged. So and we need an interdisciplinary approach. We need art historians, we need Shastra experts, we need archaeologists, technologists, metallurgists, linguists, people who can do genetic research. All of that we need to put together rather than waiting for others to put it together according to their own ideology. And this needs a big jump in funding. We need world-class journals also. And this sort of thing gets no play in literary festivals. Like you go to Jaipur Literary Festival, they're not going to honor somebody like who's come up with these kind of things. Book awards aren't being given for people who write on this, nor is it in the textbooks. Now there is a field called biblical archaeology. Very big field in the American Academy and the European Academy. Their job is to go around all these biblical lands and keep looking for things and look at through the biblical drishti and say, this must mean that, this must be the place where that happened. And they match the text and the physical discovery and keep embellishing biblical archaeology. But if you say Vedic archaeology, you will be accused of all sorts of things. But we need to create a Vedic archaeology. We should be very open that there ought to be Vedic archaeology. And all these different archaeologies of the old Bharat Rashtra as a Vedic space ought to be very clearly established. And that should be our game plan. If similar discoveries had been made concerning biblical archaeology or ancient Western civilization, believe me, it would be all over the place. This would be the talk of CNN and all kinds of things. Awards would be given. There would be international conferences. But our government, it ought to be doing that. We ought to have regular conferences for scholars to talk about this very thing, bring all the disciplines together. There should be people from media, people from Bollywood, people who are documentary makers. We should have something equivalent to the Discovery Channel where such things get mentioned and discussed, you see. There should be tourism based on ancient heritage tourism. These sites should be developed so people can go and watch an IMAX movie, a three-dimensional IMAX movie walking through, Krishna's Dwarka or one of these other great sites. While there is this big clamor for the Harry Potter and the Lord of the Rings, because they tell you very ancient, great things, we have all that stuff. But it's real, it's not mythic. It's backed by history and archaeology. So we ought to be also stimulating the imagination of our movie makers and people like that. And please, fight those who call all our itihas myth, because this is scientific evidence. We are matching what has been mentioned in these texts with physical discoveries. There is no way to argue against it. You have to be better informed yourself, and then you can be an ambassador. If you are not well informed, you cannot go and represent and argue, because you will get emotional and upset, and that's not the way to argue. I've found that even our IAS officers and IFS officers need to be re-educated, because they've been educated in the old colonial system and they themselves don't know many of these things. We need our industrialists to sponsor such things. The industrialists should feel proud that they have sponsored the redevelopment of one of these places. They should put huge sums of money. Somebody should buy this submarine, which is an archaeology submarine, where these guys go and they map up all the place, and they have cameras, and in darkness they can have infrared photography of make videos and all that. So this kind of research costs money, And it is not only the government. Government, of course, should do a lot more than it's doing, but others should also pitch in. Now, the Ministry of Culture needs to jump into this. The Ministry of Culture, it's not just Bollywood and Shah Rukh Khan doing, Bhangra and all that stuff. These are the things that ought to be showcased. These are the things we should lobby and get them on the world map on our terms. Okay? And information and broadcasting, tourism, HRD, external affairs, these are all ministries that ought to be involved in this. So I have given you an overview.
और हमारे देश के लिए अगर सबसे बड़ी एक समाज की मन में एक आवश्यकता है तो हमारी सोसाइटी हिस्ट्री कॉन्शियस होनी चाहिए. इतिहास को भुला देने वाली समाज व्यवस्था नहीं होनी चाहिए.